This is a code review that contains the existing functionality of 3 artifacts. These artifacts then are analyzed with a code analysis and the enhancements that are described for each artifact. The artifacts are to demonstrate proficiency within the categories of software design and engineering, algorithms and data structures, as well as databases. The following checklist that covers structure, documentation, variables, arithmetic operations, loops and branches, as well as defensive programming will be used to analyze the code segments of each artifact for the demonstration of proficiency. The following resource of SBK and Associates, written by David Hubble, will be used to support why targeting the code segments of each artifact cultivates better programming techniques. Utilizing the checklist and the provided resource ensures that each segment of the artifacts is appropriately evaluated. The artifact with existing code segments for the software design and engineering category is the combination of Project 1 and Project 2 from the course CS410 Software Reverse Engineering. Project 1 consists of the conversion of assembly language to C++. Project 2 consists of making Project 1 become a .out file to be executed on the Linux operating system. The features of the existing code include a main function, a function for changing a customer's choice, a function for detecting the permissions of a customer, and a function for displaying the information from the previous methods. The functionality of the existing code is free of any significant errors, though continues to have issues. With the inclusion of features and functionality, I am able to use software engineering principles when creating a software product that is ambiguous and lacks in documentation. The following code segments are in relation to the issues presented in the checklist. The code segments we are to be analyzing consist of various methods. These methods are the main method, the change customer choice method, the check user permission access method, and the display info method. There are certain comments located in the code that serve as visuals to the list of improvements which need to be made. With the presentation of code segments and visuals, we may begin analyzing the issues within the code segments. For the main method, the method needs to conform to C coding standards and must have efficiency for storage use when assigning or initializing. The change customer choice method needs the implementation of proper type consistency for the initial customer choice statement and to ensure the correct data is operated on for the secondary customer choice statements. The check user permission access method needs to test common cases first for the initial permission statements and to avoid addition on numbers with greatly different magnitudes in the secondary permission statements. The display info method requires to then condense the information assignments into a single procedure and to deallocate memory allocation for displaying statements. Lastly, all comments are to be formatted into a more readable style. These improvements ensure that the structure, documentation, arithmetic operations, and defensive programming of the checklist are implemented. With the improvements, each code segment requires specific enhancements as well. The main method is to conform to coding standards that will be for the C language, as we are transferring C++ to C for the demonstration of software engineering principles. We will then create the storage efficiency for the main method. The change customer choice method is to implement the proper type consistency and have the correct data. The check user permission access method will have the common cases of input validation tested first and will have corrections to magnitude addition. The display info method is to have a more secure index declaration that will condense assignments and will deallocate memory allocation for each method. With the method enhancements, the documentation is to be more concise as well. After the enhancements of the original Project 1, we will execute and compile the new file to be opened on the Windows operating system instead of the Linux operating system to demonstrate reverse engineering principles. These enhancements ensure I am proficient in software design and engineering. The provided functionality, code analysis, and enhancements will assist me in the polishing of software engineering principles for this artifact. As the code segments need to be altered, I shall change the code segments to conform to C, have separate segments for memory deallocation, and begin the operating system transmission. This process ensures the quality of software engineering implementation within the artifact. The decisions of using this artifact for the software design and engineering category originate from my professional work as well as the personal interests I have of software engineering fundamentals. Reverse engineering and language transferring are common practices within software engineering that are required industry applications. I find this artifact specifically to be adequate for relating my reverse engineering and language transferring skills to a pragmatic example of a customer having the permissions to change their choice on a purchase, which then can be displayed for the customer's records. The artifact with existing code segments for the algorithms and data structures category is the unit testing code for the milestone 4 of CS405 secure coding. Milestone 4 consists of the testing for the collection data structure and the algorithms that determine size, capacity, and bounds. The features of the existing code include positive tests and negative tests that use assert and expect to ensure the security of the algorithms acting upon the data structure. The functionality of the existing code incorporates C++ coding standards with input validation to free the majority of failed tests. With the inclusion of the features and functionality, I am able to use quality assurance principles to analyze the efficiency of algorithms and data structures. The following code segments will be analyzed. Several of the code segments utilize the correctness that is to be demonstrated in the checklist, where these code segments do not require further analysis. The code segments we are analyzing in this artifact include the collection test class, the can add to empty vector test, and the exception collection size out of bounds test. Which is right here. There are missing code segments that are to be discussed as well. The code segments contains comments that serve as visuals for this analysis. In the collection test class, the class must have all indexes referenced to be properly initialized, as you can see right here. This ensures that any tests utilizing indexes will pass instead of creating false negatives. The definition of symbolics are to be implemented within the collection test class as well. In the can add to empty vector test, down here, the entire test must be refined. This test needs to eliminate redundancy for the data structure and the variables. The entry statements need to be emptied appropriately in addition to the style issues presented. The exception collection size out of bounds test, all the way down here, requires all indexes, subscripts, or pointers to be tested against array, record, or file bounds for the data structure and the algorithms. This test also requires the strings to be replaced with symbolics. Further, there needs to be a more defined and properly implemented test for a data structure and algorithm for the concise demonstration of such unit testing. This analysis has determined that with the upcoming improvements, the artifact will become more efficient. The enhancements for each code segment consist of the various improvements required to enhance segments. So going back up to the collection class, the collection test class is to have the indexes properly initialized and define symbolics using C++ standards from Carnegie Mellon's Software Engineering Institute, where all our standards originate. The can add to empty vector test is to be refined, and redundancy will be eliminated. The exception collection size out of bounds test will be separated into two different tests, which will analyze the data structure and algorithm data individually. This creates clarity when creating the further enhancements for this test. Additional enhancements include covering tests for indexes, subscripts, and pointers to be verified against the array, record, or file bounds, and the string replacement. The new unit testing project will create a unique collection, data structure, and testing environment for the improved tests as well. In addition, the new data structure test and new algorithm test will be created for clarity. The enhancements will then be analyzed with the CPP checker tool for displaying the improved efficiency of the unit testing. These improvements ensure the unit tests are solely relevant and efficient for demonstrating best industry practices. The functionality code analysis, and enhancements for the second artifact assist me in creating relevance for testing the algorithms and data structures category. I shall utilize coding standards and the analysis from CPP Checker to ensure the quality of the tests for the algorithms and new unique collection data structure. The decisions of using this artifact for the algorithms and data structures category originate from the theory and quality assurance techniques I have acquired. The implementation of algorithms and data structures, combined with the practice of unit testing, are advanced demonstration of industry applications, which proves the significance of incorporating this artifact within my ePortfolio. It is conclusive that with creating efficiency for algorithms and data structures being tested, I will be prepared for utilizing theoretical and applied work within an employment position. My progress of combining algorithms and data structures with unit testing can be found on the Enhancement 2 page of my ePortfolio. The artifact with existing code for the databases category is the basic SQL commands constructed for the final project report of the course DAD 220 Introduction to SQL. This project used create, read, update, and delete operations to demonstrate how to make a database, a table, displaying the table, updating the table, and then deleting the table using the MySQL language. The features of the existing code include a messaging database, a person table, an image table, a message image table, and a hello table. The horror table will be used to demonstrate how each table created is executed within the terminal for MySQL. So we can do that now to demonstrate such functionality. And as you can see, we have successfully created this horror table. The functionality of the existing code is free of most issues, however, will be altered for a new database, which we've discussed up here, called Arkham Horror. This new database will expand my abilities when implementing SQL, including the features and functionality will assist me in creating advanced practices within the databases category. The following code segments and missing code are to be improved: the messaging database, the person table, the image table, the message image table, the Arkham Horror database, and the tables for Arkham Horror. In addition to these code segments, adequate documentation is to be created for the entirety of the artifact as well. The messaging database, which is up here, is to be omitted from the project so that the new database for Arkham Horror, the board game 3rd edition, will be utilized. With the new database, we are to then initialize new tables for enemies, consumables, and investigators. The person table is to have properly defined and concise variables when being altered and updated. The person table then requires prepared statements for the prevention of SQL injections when attempting to delete this table to ensure the table is not deleted by attackers. The image table requires redundant variables to be eliminated. The message image table requires the creation of properly nested logic constructs. When using this table to help combine other tables and databases. Lastly, the code segments will be formatted for more readability. These improvements will assist in creating a database with more advanced concepts of MySQL. The enhancements for each code segment will include the improvements of the segments and the documentation of the project. The entirety of the artifact will contain proper readability and code comments for the segments. The messaging database will be omitted, and the rest of the segments will be reused within the new database for Arkham Horror, the board game 3rd edition. The new tables for the Arkham Horror database include the initialization of an enemies table, a consumables table, and an investigators table. The person table will have properly defined variables and prepared statements for preventing SQL injection attacks. The image table will have its redundant variables eliminated. The message image table will have properly nested logic constructs initialized. These enhancements ensure that I am able to create a database with complex structure and advanced MySQL concepts that are expected to be demonstrated within the industry. By utilizing this artifact as an example of my abilities, I will show my database creation proficiency. The functionality, code analysis, and enhancements for the third artifact illustrates how my creation of databases has evolved from basic CRUD operations to the addition of further complex structure within a database. With this artifact, I will utilize MySQL and documentation standards for the demonstration of industry-related practices. The reasons why I decided to use this artifact for databases are that I can display proficiency in scripting for the software engineering industry, and that I can create complex databases using relational database management systems. As relational database management systems can be intricate, the creation of such a system prepares me for employment opportunities. The reasons on why I decided to omit the messaging database and create a new database that is for Arkham Horror is due to the messaging database was created for simple statements and does not illustrate my creativity nor my pliability to make a database for a company based on requirements. Creating a database for Arkham Horror is an authentic example of how databases are to meet user and company needs. Therefore, creating a new database for Arkham Horror is sufficient for the databases category, which can be found in Enhancement 3 of the ePortfolio. The performance of the artifacts in each category of software design and engineering, algorithms and data structures, as well as databases, were analyzed, where several common novice mistakes are presented throughout this code review. Enhancements will be made to each artifact, ensuring the highest quality and security of the code segments. Therefore, by conducting this code review, I am prepared for the industry.